My name is Bill Miller. I'm current president of ISPO Canada, and I want to thank you for attending today's sessions and joining us for our annual general meeting. I'll be chairing today's meeting. I'd also like to acknowledge that I'm speaking with you today from the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam and Tsleil-Waututh territories in the lower mainland of Vancouver, British Columbia. Rita, I'm having troubles advancing the deck. Thank you. I'll just ask you to continue to do so if you don't mind. Thank you. A reminder for those who were on the call and information for those who weren't on the session earlier that these are the rules of engagement. Attendees will be muted at all times unless you are asked to be unmuted. The private chat has been disabled. You can chat, however, with the hosts and co-hosts or with everybody who's on the call. Questions will be done, and I would encourage people to ask questions throughout by either raising your hand or pop the question in the chat box, and I'll ask Amy and Rajiv to monitor the chat box for me as we go through today's session. There will be a Q&A component to the session later on, but again, I encourage you to raise your hand or interject as necessary. If you are having an issue with the technology, you can private chat with Rita Gupta and from Facilitation First, and she will resolve your issues. If you have questions about the presentation content or registration, you can private chat with Mark. I'm not sure if Katie's still on the call. One reminder, this is an annual general meeting where we will be formally voting and approving certain motions. I would encourage those who are not members of ISPO to refrain from voting, but we do welcome you to stay on the call. Next slide, please. You'll note that there is closed captioning available for those who are needing it or wanting it. And these are the instructions to enable that. Essentially, it's go to your control bar, which usually is at the bottom, and you should have a live transcription icon, and then you can either show subtitles at the bottom or you can see a full view transcript depending on how you set your settings. And there is the bottom red arrow there that's talk to the process of where in settings you would set your subtitle or full view. Next slide, please. So the formal agenda for today's meeting is in front of you. I would like to formally call to order the meeting. We will go through the consent agenda and minutes, which were circulated earlier in September. We'll look at the current and new board members, including a nomination of one new member and a transition of another member into one of the executive positions. We will provide a financial report, and we'll go over the strategic plan in ISPO Canada's methods of addressing our strategic plan. You remember that last year we presented our plan, which was informed by the members of the ISPO Canada constituency. There's been a number of updates on the international ISPO front, and of course, one of the big ones is the World Congress, which is happening in April of 2023. So we will go through and provide you with a high-level update on those. And then again, we'll just have a general open question and answer period at the end and then adjourn. But I do, again, encourage you to ask questions throughout. Next slide, please. Thank you. So these were the minutes that were circulated earlier in the month to, earlier in September to the members of ISPO Canada. I'm not going to read through them. We provide them here just for you to have a glance, and I'll stop for 10 seconds and give you an opportunity just to quickly read through and see if you have any suggested errors or omissions which you would like to discuss. Okay, well, let's move on to approving or voting on the motion and agenda. So I'd like to put forward that we accept the agenda and the 2021 minutes as circulated. This has been moved by Linda Laxo and seconded by Amy Richardson. Is there any discussion? Okay, thanks for putting up the poll. Rita, for those, please vote in favor or oppose or abstention. Okay, I see we have 8 of 31 who voted. We'll wait another couple of minutes for people to make their selections.
Oh, sorry, I stopped the poll.
Oh, you stopped the poll. Do you mind sharing it again, please?
Do you want me to relaunch it?
Yeah, please relaunch it. Sorry, Rita,
Okay.
we do need
No
to
problem.
have a quorum of individuals supporting our
Okay.
agenda.
I can't vote. I'm not sure if there's a problem with it.
If you have co-host status, you can't vote.
Well, we'll need to have Amy, Linda, and Rajiv eligible to vote. So maybe we need to strip them of their status. So Rita has just relaunched the vote. And
So I removed it for Rajiv and Amy. Who else did you want me to remove it for? Linda?
Linda, please. I'm not really clear what you're asking. And could the co-host simply verbalize or put in the chat? I think we resolved the co-host problem. Thank you, though, Ed.
I still have Katie, Mark, Aditi as co-hosts. So
Well,
let me know
Mark,
if you want to remove their status.
Mark's a voting member or non-voting member, so he should be able to vote in approving this. And I don't know the status of Katie or the other individual, Rita.
So we only have about 26% that have voted so far.
Yeah.
The other thing that sometimes happens is people attended the education session and left their computer, and so they're not actually in attendance because they've stepped away from their computer.
Right, fair. We are still getting a couple of votes sneaking in. Okay, let's end the poll. Yes, yes, Ted, we did, but we'll put you down as an affirmed. So we got 13 of 32. So Rajiv and Amy, any reflection, we've got approximately a third of the people on the call who have approved the motion for the agenda and the minutes. Maybe you could be unmuted and we could have a quick conversation on how to proceed.
So who did you want me to unmute?
Amy and Rajiv, please.
Thanks, Bill. I think Rajiv is just going to look up and confirm the quorum number to make sure that we make it.
Oh, this is where I should tell my endless supply of dad jokes. Just to
Sorry,
keep
I'm
it-
just looking it up.
Rajiv has
Yeah.
unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up now. ISPO. Tell your dad jokes.
The problem is I don't remember them right.
Okay, handbook.
What does a ghost like for dessert? You're not going to answer because you're all muted. Ice cream. That was my granddaughter's joke last night.
Bill, in my family, that's what we call a groaner, because you
A
don't
groaner.
really laugh, you just groan.
I know. Well, aren't all dad jokes groaners?
I think so. I think that's maybe a prerequisite for it to be a dad joke.
Okay, I'm just looking it up. Sorry.
Blueberries is what I said, Ted, but I was told I was wrong. White ice cream.
Blueberries was going to be my guess too, Bill.
Okay, so it says sorry, it's a bit noisier. A quorum at any meeting of the members shall be 10% of the members entitled to vote at the meeting. If a quorum is present at the opening of a meeting, so 10%.
Well, we've achieved that, so we can.
So I think we're good. Yeah.
Thanks, Rajiv.
Okay.
Okay, and thanks everybody for voting. We will move on to the next slide, please. I guess there is my control. So this, we'll just go over the new board, which is in front of you. So these are the new and returning members who are on the board. And these are the voting members, I might add. And you'll see the bolded positions are the folks who have either decided to renew their term, and that's Krista Best, Sandra Hitzig, Adrian Crouch is the new member who is joining us, and Alex Tamiklis has stepped down from treasurer, but will remain on the board, and Ed Giesbrecht will be taking up the position of treasurer moving forward. So that's our new board. I'll just go, and the voting members. I'll just go through the non-voting members. These are mainly the student positions who have joined ISPO a couple of years back, and we have invited some new members. I believe Deb Lowe, Jenna Chow, Mark Hervik, sorry, Mark, if I brutalized your name, Nicole Bianchi, are all new student members who have another year on their term. We also have the pleasure of having two stakeholder groups who are involved. The War Amps has been ongoing for a number of years, and just this year we have invited the Amputee Coalition of Canada, and Sam Hollos is the representative there. My dad, it was a really good contribution by both the War Amps this year and the Amputee Coalition of Canada. So I think the next slide, Rita, is our motion. And I will advance it since I'm trying to do two slides at once. Oh, so I'd like to put forward a motion to approve new and returning board members and the appointment of Dr. Ed Giesbrecht as treasurer. Linda Laxo has moved the motion, and Amy Richardson is seconding it. If you could launch the poll, Rita, for approving the new and returning board members and the appointment of Dr. Ed Giesbrecht as treasurer, that would be fabulous. And this one, Rita, will stop at 30 seconds. Okay, the last 10 seconds for people to vote. All right, great. We have approval of the new and returning members and the movement to have Ed Giesbrecht serve as treasurer. So just before we move on, people can't appreciate how hard this board is working, and the individuals really are contributing in a meaningful way. Everybody contributes. departments. And they've taken on a number of tasks, including our strategic plan initiatives. So really appreciate the board members for their contributions over the last year, and I look forward to working with them over the next year. Okay, so our treasurer, our former treasurer, Alex Tenicklis, is not available to provide the financial update. So I will fumble my way through it. My dad was an accountant, but I did not get any of his financial and budgeting skills. But don't tell my wife. So the report goes as follows. Oh no, the formatting is not there, Rita. We lost it in the transfer. So these are some of the highlights.
Do you have it in another format you want to share?
Well, no, it's just the columns are around. And like I'm looking at the one that's in the Google documents, and it's all in alignment. So let me just go through it, folks, and we will open it up to questions a little bit later on. And I might add at this point, we are providing a financial report. Our financial update. We are not filing a financial report, and the reasons for that will be discussed a little bit later. So the summary is of our financial position as of December 31, 2021. It's important to note that these values have not been approved by our accountant and are therefore subject to revisions upon further review. So we've lost the slide. There we go.
The one from.
Thank you. If we could go back to that slide, that'd be great. There. Much better. Thank you, Rita. Appreciate it. So we're going to start with our assets. We have a total of $13,103 in cash. Our interest is a loss of $504 over the past year. Our investments total $203,832, and therefore our assets are totaled at $216,935. Our liabilities, as we move forward, are $1,950, and therefore our net assets were $214,985. And you can see the comparisons to the 2020 financial report. And now I would like to move on to the next slide, Rita. But I don't have permission. Thank you very much. So the following is a statement of operations for 2021. Our total revenue was $2,600 or $2,600, and the revenue generated in 2021 was basically due to membership fees. Our total expenses came in at $5,446. Broken down by category, we have $1,481 towards the ISPO AGM day that we are celebrating today. $2,915 went towards office and general expenditures. $1,050 went towards sponsorship of the OAAC conference and certainly participation from ISPO Canada we conducted to help out with the strategic plan. In $25, and therefore our net assets amounted to $214,985. So moving on to the expenses, which is the next slide, Rita, please. So you can see the 2021 expenses here. And again, our total expenses came out to $5,446, broken down by category. $1,921 was for legal and accounting fees from our 2020 accounting. $67 was from advertising and promotions. As a plan, we gotten into social media, and that has some small costs. $23 in business fees, $899 in office supplies, which mainly went to the purchase of a new laptop. There's $0 were spent for courier and postage. $5 was spent on interest and bank charges. $0 were needed towards the World Conference, and a total of $1,050 was spent in miscellaneous expenses towards, again, the sponsorship of the OAAC conference and the survey prize. I saw your comment about the numbers not adding up exactly, Linda, and we'll address that in a minute. But again, this is a financial update, it is not a financial report. So Rita, if we could go to the next slide, please, which is on our membership. So these are our memberships as of October of 2022. We have 46 full-time members, 4 student members, and we have 4 emeriti members. You can see the comparisons in 2021. This, again, is our main form of coming from membership, and equates to $2,603.74. I might add that we have not yet received the monies from ISPO Central. We have been making multiple contacts to make sure that that transfer comes through. Next slide, please. The balance sheet as of October 12th, 2022, our total amount in our Community Plan Plus account is $12,867, and our Business Investor account amounts to $440. Our investment total is $199,404. The consolidated balance is $212,652, and our liabilities for our year is, as reported earlier, approximately $1,900. Next slide, please. So in an era of transparency, we have had some issues with signing authority at the bank that we are currently using, which is TD Trust. This is a result partly from their changing their processing, the way they process or proceed with processing signatures. It used to be that you could drop into the bank with the appropriate documentation and they would provide transfer of signatures and access to the accounts, and they have changed to an all online system. So this has meant that we have not been able to have access to our accounts for the past several months. I can confirm now that we do have transfer of signature, and Amy Richardson and Krista Best both have access to those monies. So this is why we are not filing a formal financial report at this time, and instead providing you with this update. And so, Linda, to address your question, yes, the numbers may not add up. And again, we're still waiting for the transfer as well. So we have full intention of moving forward with a financial audit, and we're glad that Ed's here to guide us through that process. And we will certainly support him. The plan for ISPO Canada is to form a budgetary board in support of Ed so that we can get our numbers down. Then we will generate a financial report and send it off to our accounting consultants, Lipton Chartered Accountants, who will review our finances and provide our 2022 corporate year-end tax return. So therefore, I would like to suggest that we will put a motion to approve the 2021 financial report at a later date. we're currently thinking that we will file that report this time next year when we have our AGM. However, we are discussing the viability of having a digital vote sometime in the next couple of months. So Linda, can you speak to your question after we move the plan to use the Lipton Chartered Accountants? Could we unmute Linda?
Sure, yeah. It was just a mathematical thing that I think you addressed when you said that we're going to be going over it when we correct it. So I think we could leave it at that, and my hand's up just for the motion to approve the use of Lipton Chartered Accountants.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so Linda is moving our use of the Lipton Chartered Accountants to process our file for our 2022 corporate year-end review and tax return, and Amy has kindly seconded that motion. So if we could launch the poll now, and then we'll open up for questions from the membership. I might add that we've been using Lipton for a number of years, so they have good familiarity with ISPO Canada. Okay, we'll leave the poll open for another 10 seconds. Okay, we'll end the poll there, and we do have approval of that motion. Thank you, everybody. So I'd like to open up for any questions people have about our current financial situation. And Amy and Rajiv, if you could monitor the chat box, that would be great. Okay, I think current Zoom protocol is similar to the past 3 years during COVID, and that is 7 seconds and then we'll proceed. All right, no questions about that. So look forward in the new year to our circulate the formalized financial report and procedures that we will take in terms of moving that as approved. If you could move on, Rita, or maybe now I can take over control of the slides again. Okay, so you will remember, thank you, Rita, you will remember that last year Rajiv announced at the AGM our strategic plan, which again, we went to you, our members, to help guide us through the process. And we came up with 3 identified areas of concentration. One would be on membership, to increase the size and diversity of our membership base. And by diversity, we mean having inclusion across Canada from a variety of interdisciplinary groups. And we have been focusing a lot on our Quebec contingent of members, because we don't seem to have a lot of folks from Quebec, but again, across from British Columbia to Newfoundland. The second area of concentration was knowledge translation, and this includes education. And we are making efforts to, which I'll speak about in a moment, to improve our transfer of education in the field of prosthetics and orthotics for our membership to consume. And the final is collaboration, and that is to work with other organizations to increase both the scope and breadth of our impact towards better clinical practice and research. So just diving a bit deeper into that, I already went through the membership numbers with you a little bit earlier. We've had a concentrated effort, and this has been in concert with changes that have been going on at ISPO International. And our membership of 53 is actually down considerably, approximately half of where we are at the peak as an organization. We usually are at about 100 for years in particular where the World Congress is happening, reduced rates for registration of the World Congress. But our strategy that we've been using here is to send out reminder emails to renew, and this is both to former members but also ongoing current members. We created clear instructions on joining ISPO Canada, which is listed on our website, and we've had our students help reinforce to make sure that they are functional and pragmatic and efficient instructions. We went on a recruitment opportunity at the OPC conference earlier this summer. Chief was kind enough to raffle off a bottle of tequila, which I think was it garnered a lot of interest to our booth. Let's put it that way. And I will say that I purchased that tequila. It did not come out of ISPO Canada coffers. We've increased our student involvement, and we've really made a concentrated effort of making sure that the students are a part of ISPO Canada because they are our future. And there is an initiative that I'll speak a little bit more directly when we get into the international side of things. But very generally, ISPO International is looking at offering free student memberships in the final year of their programs for residencies. And we've promoted, hopefully, the educational offerings which will appeal to membership. So the 2023 goal is to increase our membership up to 100, where it usually is. And we plan to do that through communication promotion of what ISPO Canada can offer, enhanced service, and this is partly in conjunction with ISPO International, and they recently launched a new website and a new member portal, which should make signing up for ISPO Canada a lot simpler. And there are a number of educational offers which we hope will really appeal to our membership. So this is one of our communication channels. We've really taken up a concentrated approach to social media, and you'll see that we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and website has been radically overhauled and is largely led by our student contingent of whom you see listed here. I might add that I think it's Jenna that does our Twitter account, and for those of you on Twitter, we were extremely active today. I'm not sure what the metrics are, but we were promoting the sessions today very actively. So just some highlights on our social media, a bit of a busy slide, but we can see that we have a 3-month average of 336 views, which I think is very good, and an average of 180 viewers. Most viewed pages are the ISPO International webinars, which Rajiv has been supporting and we'll talk about in a little bit. Looking at the executive board and checking out the 18th annual World Congress. Instagram has been ramped up. We have 545 followers. This seems to be the way to communicate with our students. And our Instagram followers are mainly Canadians in the younger age groups. And Facebook we've only generated 6 posts, but that has a fair bit of interest with 326 views. And then the newsletter, which Jenna has been going out and send this out quarterly. Hopefully folks are finding that informative. We're trying to really provide some educational components in there, which I'll allude to a little bit later. Our next membership letter goes out in November, so look forward to that. And I didn't really know what a click stat was, so apparently this is the number of members who receive the hyperlink and actually click on it and read it. And so we have a 50% opening stat with 11% click stat. And apparently that's twice what is deemed to be successful in the business community. So that's our social media. I talked about the ISPO Canada newsletter. We're hoping that this is featuring clinically relevant and important research from our member journal, which is Prosthetics and Orthotics International. And you can only have access to that journal now unless you pay outside membership. It's one of the benefits of being a member of ISPO Canada. We have just started an initiative to identify and profile Canadian researchers. And here's an example. And I think it was in our last newsletter that Dr. Turcotte was featured and asked about her research and the relevance. And it's a nice interview that Jenna's been doing with folks. I find the information actually really, really informative. I've worked in the area of prosthetics and orthotics research for 22 years, maybe a little bit longer. And this was the first time I've ever heard of Dr. Turcotte, so it was a good way to get to know her better and what her interests are. The other major feature that has been going on, and hopefully you folks have noted it, it's the North American webinar series. This was to support a run-up for the World Congress. Largely, it's being hosted by our colleagues from Mexico, but Rajiv and Linda have been active in offering these webinars. I know Linda did a segment back, I think in September, I can't remember the exact date. There is exceptional uptake on these webinars. Rajiv, maybe we can unmute you and you could share a little bit more about the North American webinar series.
Sure. I'll turn this on. Hi, everyone. I'm in Mexico City right now at the ISPO Mexico annual meeting, where I did a talk yesterday, but I just wanted to say I'm part of the local organizing committee, which is made up of ISPO Canada members, ISPO US, and the ISPO Mexico group. So we've been putting on these monthly webinars. And I was going to get the name of the next one. It's actually next Friday. Hopefully you've got our emails on it, or you can look on our website and it should be there. But they've been very well received. They're usually the last Friday of every month. And it's a way to provide education. You can get, I think, a 1 hour education credit with OPC. And it's in promotion of the World Congress. So we'll be leading up to the World Congress in April. So we'll have more webinars right up until March of next year.
Richie, maybe I could ask a question before anybody else beats me to the punch.
Sure.
Is there any appetite to continue doing this post the World Congress?
I think that would be a great idea, because I think we've started this collaboration and it could be a North America wide one, or we could expand it. But I would like to suggest that to our local organizing committee after this, because I think it's been well received. And, you know, there's a lot of people from Latin America that are tuning in now. And we also do simultaneous translations. So that's a possibility to, you know, expand in other languages maybe, because it's Spanish and English right now. But it certainly does attract people from around the world. And we have stats to show that.
Do you have any understanding or knowledge of what the Canadian participation has been?
Generally, it's a little better than the Americans, and especially, you know, it can be as high as, what is it? I think when Linda's talk, because there were Canadians and speaking, around between 40 and 60 Canadians. Usually it's around 20 to 25, but I guess it's how do we get the word out there that these are available? So that's an ongoing struggle in a way, but that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting, you know, fairly good numbers. It's usually around 100 in total of people that attend, and from all over the place.
And there's lively discussion afterwards.
There is, yeah, and again, it's you know, in Spanish is translated into English, and we do have it's usually about an hour and 15-minute session. So it's about 45 minutes of talking, and then the rest is questions and answers.
Right. Well, I guess I'm speaking on more on my behalf than ISPO Canada, but I would certainly encourage the group, the local organizing committee, to form into maybe a knowledge translation committee, and if we could do it and keep it just in North America. I think going broader would be problematic, and it seems like you've got a functioning machine right now. And we know the quality of the presenters that we had today. Certainly Canada has something to offer in terms of providing this. And then the other thing I would say is, I know that this has been open to everybody in the P&O field as a free offering. This might be something that ISPO Canada could potentially put down as a members only. And maybe there's a little bit of a fee on the side to pay for the translation services. Okay, I don't know if you're trying to unmute or not, but I see you.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say that's true, because yeah, we are looking for ways to increase our membership, and by providing these, it does cost about $800 US to translate each of these webinars. So it's being funded, but if we can recover some of that cost, that would be important.
Yeah. And thank you, Linda, and thank you, Rajiv, and thank you, Linda, for sharing next week's link in the chat box. Okay, so that again is one way I think that ISPO Canada can serve you better as members, and hopefully you are partaking in that free source of updating. And apparently there are credits to be enjoyed as well. So our third stream was our strategic plan was to increase collaboration and to share knowledge. And there is quite a bit of activity in this strategic initiative. Brigitte just talked about the North American Local Organizing Committee hosting the webinars. That's the first bullet identified there. That, in fact, I think is next Friday's speaker, Seamus. And obviously today's day is an example of what we are offering in terms of collaborating with AOPO. One of my concerns in this area of prosthetics and orthotics is there's a lot of associations and memberships that you can belong to. And I think ISPO Canada offers very novel contributions, but we need to start working, I think, together with the other entities, such as OPC as an example, to see if we can better align to make sure that all of the members from all of the different associations benefit. And then I did mention earlier that we had a presence at the OPC National Conference where we were promoting ISPO Canada, and we raffled off that bottle of tequila, and we had one very happy winner. The other areas of collaboration include, and you will have seen Dr. Susan Hunter in the recent past, who presented some of her research. She has partnered with ISPO Canada to submit a CIHR, Canadian Institute of Health Information or Health Research grant to conduct a workshop. So that, I can't remember exactly what her initiative is, but it is really about bringing together the stakeholders and the clinicians and the researchers to create community. Another group that we've supported is Dr. Crystal McKay's research team. Crystal is working on a physical activity, peer-supported physical activity program, and ISPO Canada has partnered with her in in terms of promoting this from a knowledge translation dissemination, and also from a recruitment perspective. And then there's our two stakeholders, the Amputee Coalition of Canada and the WARAMPS, and we have had some wonderful success with them. We've supported the ACC by promoting their survey of their membership, and this was an effort to give them feedback on where their strategic planning should be in the future. And if you haven't gone to the AAC website recently, they've revamped it entirely, and they're really modernizing. They have a really strong board, executive board right now. So I encourage you to seek them out. They're really supporting peer-led initiatives. And WARAMPS, you would have seen a two funding operation, one clinical, one research, that WARAMPS conducted over the summer. We have supported them on an ongoing basis, but a number of our research community were beneficiaries of their funding. And I was hoping that Taylor, Stephanie were going to get back to me with a report prior today, but I think they had a couple of $1 million worth of funding, which they shared with Canadian researchers. So really strong partnerships forming there in our collaboration stream. So moving forward to international activities and updates, and I would ask Rita if you could make sure that Amy and Rajiv have been unmiked or unmuted so that they can jump in and join me on this, because we've all have slightly different focus on the international activities, and they may have additional input regarding the activities that have gone on. As I mentioned earlier, ISPO International has been undergoing a number of changes, and this is to ensure that their 76 member societies continue to stay involved. You can see that they have 2,700 members that they claim internationally and representing 92 countries. Some of the countries are not big enough to support a single member society, so they have sister societies or countries partner up to share. The large update around was undertaken, and it was under Ed Lemaire's leadership, actually, that we saw the majority of the changes. And it was over his 2 terms when he got hit in the middle of COVID with trying to do these changes, which made it a little bit challenging as well. But we've seen internationally a drop in the number at ISPO. So there has been considerable concern across all societies. There were 2 societies that actually saw an increase, and that is the group from Britain or the UK and Mexico. And they had a very informative update at our president's meeting in the late spring, early summer, where we learned about how they were actually increasing their membership. And one of them was to have those regular monthly or weekly education sessions, which were member only enabled. So we've had some good examples, or two good examples of how to retain or at least increase your membership, and those are the 2 that we are modeled after. So here's where there has been a lot going on, and it has been Ed's initiative around the digital renovation, which is an interesting term in of itself. Largely, the website at ISPO International has been overhauled. And this was after numerous, I would say, comments of encouragement that they needed to make obtaining the information for people who are interested in ISPO to obtain. And one of the major complaints was around getting signed up for your membership. And I myself had several frustrations where I got halfway through signing up for for membership and then just dropped off because it was taking too long. So they have radically changed their membership portal and platform, and we actually had Mark, I think, who's on the call, go through it on our ISPO Canada side to make sure that they had feedback from our users. So hopefully the new website is going to be easier and more effective to find things and to navigate. Maybe what I'll turn over the mic to you, Amy, is around the e-learning aspect, because this is a potential large initiative that they have, and I think you've been involved in a little bit more detail than I have.
Yeah, and I know we're running out of time a little bit, but there's been so many good things happening. We wanted to let everyone know. So this e-learning platform hasn't quite launched on the international website yet, but it's coming soon. And it's really focused on sort of one of those main pillars to provide opportunity for continuing education and knowledge sharing and translation throughout the whole international community. And they're going to be for sure looking for content to be able to host on this site that would be accessible by ISPO members themselves. I know that the States is fairly keen to sort of collaborate with this, and I think there's a really great opportunity for ISPO and OPC to partner, because I know there's a focus from OPC side for some of these educational resources. So not launched yet, but hopefully will be soon, and will continue to grow.
Anything else that I missed that are kind of high level items that people might be interested in?
No, I think the website, I'm just really trying to focus on being membership forward and accessible from that sense, and really the partnering of sort of higher income companies supporting more developing countries. And that partnering is the other sort of big focus from that international perspective.
Right. Thanks, Amy. Okay, and of course there's a picture of the website, and it is very much modernized. Encourage you to go and have a peek. I guess big focus for the next 6 months or so is going to be on the ISPO World Congress. Rajiv is down there at the Mexican Society, and partly to meet with the other organizers from ISPO Congress. And you can see the featured keynote speakers here, one of whom we've had previously on at one of these events. That's Stefania Fatoni, and I think she presented last year at our AGM. Anyway, it's in Guadalajara, Mexico. Nice place to go in April. From the 24th to the 27th, we hope to see many of you there. And I think early registration is going to open up fairly soon. They just closed down abstract submission for that. I think this is just marketing, pure marketing. Why wouldn't you go to Mexico in the middle of winter or spring? So I'd like to stop there. It has been an exciting year. I'm happy to answer or address any questions that people have right now. And if not, Amy and I can tell Kroners.
That might encourage people to ask questions, Bill.
No, that might encourage them to leave early. Okay, I see there's something in the chat box, but I haven't been monitoring it.
It's just Linda and Rajiv have been providing sort of the content for the next webinar series. So Rajiv just added the registration link for that for Seamus's talk.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any thoughts from the members about what we've been doing, what we've been focusing on, or maybe even missed areas that we should be focusing on? If we're doing well, let us know. If we're not, let us know.
Yeah, it's Rajiv. I just wanted to jump in and say, or if there's non-members, I know there's non-members here, what it would take, to join this international group, I mean, ISPO. So because that's what we're trying to, sorry, I'll put my video on, but we're trying to see as well, how can we grow this organization in Canada, but also support the international work. And that's the link, is between what we do in Canada and internationally, knowing what happens there. So yeah, if there's things that you think we could do, we're certainly open to, wanting to know how we can include more Canadians into the organization.
I will say, I know there's some frustration sometimes around being able to register, Bill, that you've alluded to. So please, if you try and you run into an issue, please email us the info@ispoccanada.ca, because we have a really good relationship now with the membership chair for the international community, and we've been able to resolve these issues somewhat quickly, time zones and stuff aside. So if that's a barrier, please reach out to us, because this is something that we do. We want to make sure that we're not losing out just from IT frustrations. And thanks, Cheryl. Bill, there is a comment that Cheryl Lewis is giving us kudos that we're doing okay.
Okay, thanks for the endorsement. We appreciate that. Okay, so, and this is not an end of the conversation. We're here to help and meet your needs. So please, if you have any comments that you don't want to share today, that you'd rather share privately, please send them to the info@ISPO email, which is on our website, and we'd be happy to entertain thoughts or concerns that you have. On that note, we are a little bit over time, and I appreciate that you stayed on and spent your Saturday with us, the latter part of your Saturday out in the eastern part of Canada. It's still not quite finished lunchtime here. So I'm going to go down and have lunch. I would like to thank everyone who stayed around. I'd also like to thank our speakers once more, the moderators, sponsors, for making this event happen. We hope it was of value to you and pragmatically to your practice. Thanks again to ISPO OAPO AGM Organizing Committee and Vivek Gupta from Facilitation First for making this a really seamless day. I want to also say that I have had the pleasure of working with this group, and I look forward to the next year. I appreciate the time they've been speaking on your behalf to make ISPO a rewarding experience. So thank you to all of you, and have a good rest of your weekend. Hope to see you in Guadalajara.